we decided that we're going to put a little tax. Now is the time that we must put a little thing on the imported food into the country.
We are spending more on the people's needs without taking more from the people's pocket, while at the same time reducing the national debt. Jamaica must never go back to the days of supporting reckless politicians who spend without regard just to get political power. They are the run-with-it politicians who believe they can correct the damage of profligate financial management after they win. Those who broke it are usually not able to fix it.
Yes, JPU family, we are down to the finish line almost of another Andrew Holness JLP term. Guys, the election is right around the corner, and these guys are trying to make sure that Andrew Holness does not cross it. Here's the question now. What is the biggest concern of Jamaicans going into this election? I want to say it's the economy. This is the post-COVID era all over the world. We see how hard it is for incumbents to retain power. I believe the Prime Minister also believes that the biggest issue going into the election is the economy. And that is why we keep hearing no new tax in the last 9 years. We keep hearing about how much the debt is going down. We keep hearing about how much more we can do because of it. So here is what the Prime Minister had to say as he made an appeal to the Jamaican people, telling them what his philosophy is when it comes to economic growth and sustainability. He said this government will not spend more than we earn. We have managed to cut the national debt. We focus on reducing the debt because this is how we create the fiscal space to provide for our citizens, sustaining, ensuring that we do not have to borrow. You know, guys, these investment bankers, they have a different way of thinking about economics and things like that. I don't know if you guys remember during the COVID-19 pandemic, when the opposition said to the government that they must cut paying down the debt and use that money to give to the people of the country. When I initially heard that statement, I thought this was not a well thought out statement. Yes, there was a pandemic, but if a storm hit tomorrow, you gotta tell your debt collector, say, listen, me not gonna pay on this month or next month or the next 3 months. No, you continue paying your bills. That's how it is. What these guys were saying to the government is, listen, abandon your bills or, stop paying your debt and take that money and get to the people of Jamaica. That's very reckless. You can't do that. When there's time of crisis, you have to think carefully about how you proceed financially. So the Prime Minister made a statement today, and I think it's very profound in how we manage our fiscal space, how we handle our debt and debt reduction. And Jamaica is coming pretty close to, coming to zero debt. And me love it. Listen to this, guys.
Who argue, don't pay down the debt, just use a little space that you have, spend it on, whatever it is that you need it to spend on now. And if you need a little bit more, then borrow it. Those are the people who will never be able to sustainably improve quality of life. You can also be assured that the Jamaica Labour Party is going to be frugal. We are not going to spend more than we should. We're not going to spend more than we earn. So you can take pride that your political organization has cut the national debt, right, from somewhere in the region of 130%. When we read the budget, it will be somewhere in the region of about 68%. And what does that mean for you? What does that mean for you? What does this frugality mean for you? Because I'm sure there are persons who are saying, then why you pay down the debt? Why you not spend it on roads or spend it on water or spend it on, healthcare? And it is a legitimate question. But remember what I said about being truly independent. Right? You can't be truly independent if you are borrowing and you are in debt. Because no matter if you decided to spend it on the immediate consumption that you need now, there's always something called interest, which you are obligated to pay when you borrow. And that interest sucks up a huge amount, if you have large debt, of what is called the fiscal space. So the fiscal space is essentially the revenues that you gain, you earn, whether it is through taxes or grants or you earn from fees. Fiscal space. That tells you what you can spend. You can increase that by borrowing some more. But note, each time you borrow, you are also decreasing the fiscal space because you're increasing what you pay out of that with the interest payments. Now, what Jamaica suffered from is that what we used to pay on interest out of that fiscal space was huge. Sometimes we were going up to 50% of that fiscal space in interest payments. Now, in 2014, 2015, interest accounted for 33% of that fiscal space. Today, it's just 18%. So people who argue, don't pay down the debt, just use a little space that you have, spend it on, whatever it is that you need it to spend on now. And if you need a little bit more, then borrow it. Those are the people who will never be able to sustainably improve quality of life. Because what will happen is that each year, your fiscal space gets smaller until it's nothing. So what we are doing is increasing our fiscal space so that we can sustainably spend on the things you want without worrying about debt coming back to eat up that fiscal space. So for Jamaica, every year going forward, once we make the commitment today, the sacrifice today to reduce the debt, every year after that, we have more space to spend on the things that matter to you. And that is what we've been doing. So for example, we have fiscal space. What we do with it? We bought 100 new buses. We're buying 100 new buses now. We're buying water trucks, garbage trucks. We're spending more on school. But not just that. If you see what we have done with the PATH program and increasing it year after year, we're able to give pensioners a little bit more last year. We give it back to you the first time ever. We give you the reverse tax credit. Just think of all the things that we have done. But you put that into context that we have done it without borrowing. And the reason why we're able to do that is because we're paying down the debt and increasing the fiscal space. So can you imagine when we don't have any debt to worry about? That will be relatively small, maybe 20% or less. If you were at that point, the target is to get to somewhere around 60, right? And then we can keep it stable at that and gradually reduce. But once you get to that point, your economy, your fiscal arrangements can be sustainable. And then you can set your long-term plans to deal with all the issues that we have. So I could stand here today and say, because of Bustamante's philosophy, if we follow it, if we stick to it, we can fix all the roads in Jamaica. And we could do it well within a decade. We could provide a social house to every single household that lives in the worst housing condition. We could repair and improve all our schools in Jamaica. It's quite possible. But you need to have this engine, which is the economy, that is running well to do it. But how does this fit within the politics? Because the demands that people have, it's so huge, so urgent. I want it today. I want the water today. I want my road today. And you can understand because some communities don't have water since they were formed, since they were free villages. So you can imagine the frustration. So the next challenge that we have as a country, building on Buster's philosophy and legacy, is not just to manage the fiscal resources, your taxes, and so forth. Well, we got to grow this economy. Because just getting more fiscal space by bringing down the debt is not going to be enough. And the politics will start to get very difficult as people say, you know, I can't sacrifice anymore. I can't wait anymore. If you have to borrow, I'll agree with you, go and borrow. If you don't pay down the debt, I agree with you, I'll vote for that. And that is the pressure that is brought on governments why they depart from good fiscal management. No matter if I were to come back to the country and say to them, remember you went through that already when you had somebody who said run with it. Remember FinSac? So people say, I don't care, that was in the past, 20 years ago, I want it. No. And that's how the politics is. So we need to do one more thing in addition to managing the fiscal affairs very well. And that is we need to now pivot to growth.
So what do we have with the opposition? Abandon your debt, give the people the money, new tax, new food tax, food tariff, new education tax. I mean, these guys are all over the place. I think that in all seriousness, this government demonstrates more responsible and more serious attitude toward Jamaica's financial situation. This is not a time to start behaving reckless and taking certain risk. No, we can't do that. I want to hear what you guys think in the comments. What do you think about the position that the Prime Minister and the government is taking and that of the opposition, what they've been saying and what we know is to come, which is recklessness and taxation, and it's crazy. But anyway, guys, I want to hear what you think in the comments. Let me know. Thank you for watching. This is Jamaica Politics Uncovered. Catch you in the next video. Be sure to subscribe, guys, and make sure you're keeping it locked here for your latest political news, updates, and reviews, and also your breaking news. Thank you. Jamaica Politics Uncovered.
Jamaica is not a place to grow old. Not when certain guys in control. Jehovah God know. Lord of mercy. Hey. Some a say that them a dieted. And them a suffer to hell no rotted. And them a say that them a dieted. And them a suffer to hell no rotted.